right, here is the second half of your Part 2 review for your semester exam, the front and back of the second page of Part 2. Number 17, given that x is 36, write an inequality to describe the relationship between RS and ST according to the hinge theorem. So I know that x is 36, so if I were to put a 36 in each of these spaces for x, 36 here, and a 36 here, that would make angle RQS 36 minus 3, this one would be 33 degrees, and angle SQT, this side, 36 plus 3 would become 39. So the next thing I do is I can look across from those angles, and I know that 33 is smaller than 39, so this side will be smaller. 39 is bigger, so this side will be bigger. So when it wants me to compare the two, RS and ST, I can either say that RS is less than ST, or I can write it the other way around and say that ST is greater than RS. So either one of these would be good answers. The second one here or the first one here. Either one worked. Number 18. There are 18 boys and 9 girls in an 8th period gym class. What is the ratio of girls to boys? Remember, it's very important to look at what they want. They want girls to boys. So girls are going to be in the numerator. I can look over here and see there are 9 girls. Okay, and then on the bottom I want to have boys, and so I can look right here and see there are 18 boys. So then I just put that in my calculator, and 9 over 18 reduces to 1/2. So be careful, because a lot of times we'll just read the question and go, okay, 18 boys, 9 girls, 18 to 9. But you have to be careful which one needs to be in the numerator and which one needs to be in the denominator. A bag of 13 marbles has 6 red marbles, with the remaining are black. What is the ratio of black marbles to red marbles? So I want to have black marbles on the top, and I want to have red marbles on the bottom. When I fill this in, I can see that I have 6 red marbles, but it doesn't tell me how many black marbles I have. It says I have a total of 13 marbles in the whole bag. So to figure out how many are black, I need to take the 13 and subtract the 6 red ones, leaving me the remaining 7 that are black. Okay, if you put that in your calculator, you'll see that does not reduce, so my answer is 7 to 6. Number 20. A postage stamp 25 millimeters wide and 40 millimeters tall is enlarged to make a poster. The poster is 4 feet wide and find the height of the poster. So when I look at my first sentence, I have a postage stamp that's 25 millimeters wide and 40 millimeters tall. Okay, so if I compare 25 to 40, I need to know what are those numbers. The 25 is how wide it is, and the 40 is how tall it is. And it's important to write that down so I remember to say consistent, because consistency is the key. When I look at the next one, it says the poster is 4 feet wide. So I know that's going to go where wide is in the numerator. And I want to find the height of the poster. The height is going to be how tall it is. So I'm looking for this right here. Okay? Now don't worry about units, but because the 25 is millimeters and the 40 is millimeters, and this is feet, that just means I'm going to get the same units top and bottom. So you don't have to worry about the units here. Okay? So these two are going to be equal to each other, and I will just cross multiply. X times 25 equals 4 times 40. So I end up with 25x equals 160. Divide by 25 on both sides. And x equals 160 divided by 25 is a decimal, 6.4. And remember, we said our units would end up being feet. So the poster will be 6.4 feet tall. Number 21. Ooh. In a rectangle, the ratio of width to length is 4 to 5. If the rectangle is 40 centimeters long, so length 40 centimeters long, find its width. So again, all I need to do is cross multiply because these two fractions are equal. So 5 times x equals 4 times 40. The next thing, all I have left to do is to solve by dividing by 5. And x equals 160 divided by 5, 32. And those would be centimeters. Number 22. If quadrilateral ABCD is similar to quadrilateral EFGH, write a proportion which will allow you to find x. So we need to make sure that we're matching things up with what they go with. HG, that has an x on it, HG is going to match up with DC. So I know that x minus 7 will match up with 13. And notice I put the x minus 7 in the numerator and the 13 in the denominator. So I'm going to do this just so I make sure I stay consistent. Okay? Then when I look at FG is going to match up with BC. And which one has to go on top? The 10 does, over the 26. And it just says to write a proportion that would allow me to find x, so I just put an equal sign in the center. If you don't have the equals, it is not correct because you haven't written a proportion. This is my correct answer. Now remember, there's more than one way you could have started this, so to check to see if your answer is correct, if you're looking at a multiple choice and you don't get the same thing, check your cross multiplication. Make sure that your x minus 7 is across from your 26, and the 13 should be across from 10. As long as yours has the same numbers diagonally, then you're still okay. Number 23. If triangle LMN is similar to triangle TSP, write a proportion which will allow you to find x. So again, same thing. You need to pick one triangle that's going to go in the numerator all the time, and your other triangle that's going to go in the denominator all the time. Okay? And then you can just start with a side. So if I start with MN, MN matches with SP. And I said that this one's going to go on the top, so 10 over x plus 2. Oops, x plus 2. Okay? That's going to equal to, when I look at the next triangle, or the next side, ML is 8. ML matches with ST. So ML matches with ST. Which one goes on top? My first triangle here, so the 8 goes on top. And then on the bottom is my, x minus 1. Okay, and it just said to write the proportion, so this is my proportion. Don't forget your equal sign in between. Without it, you didn't write a proportion, you just listed two fractions. All right, 20. A 24-foot flagpole casts a 20-foot shadow. At the same time, the building next to it casts an 85-foot shadow. Find the height of the building. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is label my picture with the information. I know that the flagpole is 24 feet, so I'm going to put a 24 by the flagpole. Okay, it casts a shadow that's 20 feet. Now, think about where your shadow is when you go outside. If you're just standing out in the middle of a field and you want to see your shadow, you look on the ground. Your shadow is right here on the ground. A lot of people try to put it on the hypotenuse, but your shadow is on the ground. It comes out of your feet, right? So my 20-foot shadow is here on the ground, okay? At the same time, that's important because the sun needs to be in the same position in the sky. So at the same time, the building next to it casts an 85-foot shadow. So again, shadows are on the ground. so 85 feet. I want to know how tall is this building. Okay, so since it's happening at the same time, I can use proportions. I just need to make sure that I stay consistent. So again, I like to use my up arrow and my down arrow. I'm going to compare the height of the flagpole to the height of the building. That's going to be equal to the comparison of the shadows. The shadow of the flagpole to the shadow of the building. And again, you might have started differently. You might have started with your X on top. You could have started with your shadows first. So as long as when you cross multiply, you're across from the same things. X should be across from 20 and 24 should be across from 85. So when I cross multiply, I get 20x equals 24 times 85, which is 2210. Okay, and then I divide both sides by 20. And x equals 110.5. And if I look, everything is given to me in feet. Number 25. Number 25, if a tree casts a 24-foot shadow at the same time that a yardstick casts a 2-foot shadow, find the height of the tree. So this is very similar to the last one, okay? So I want to compare the height of the yardstick, and again, I'll go up and down. The height of the yardstick to the height of the tree, so 3 to x, and that will equal the shadow to the shadow, 2 to 24. And then all I need to do is cross multiply. 2 times x equals 3 times 24. And then divide both sides by 2, division property of equality. X equals 72 divided by 2, which is 36. My units in the problem are feet. So my tree is 36 feet tall. Number 6. In triangle IGU, WH is parallel to IU. Okay? WG is 26, that's already marked. WU is 13, which is marked. And WH is 20, which is also marked. Find IU. Now, this one is a little bit different from the one we did just the other day in class that we just did this past Monday. Because the numbers they've given me are on the parallel sides, that means I have to split my triangles apart into 2 separate triangles. So I have the red triangle, which has a 26 here and a 20 here. And then I have the blue triangle, which has an X here, and then this whole side is my 26 and my 13 together, which is 39. Okay, so then when I set up my proportions, I'm going to do the parallel side to the parallel side equals the bottom to the bottom. That's a 9. Doesn't really look like a 9. And then you may not have set yours up exactly like this, but just make sure that your 26 is across from your X and your 20 is across from your 39. If it is, then you set it up correctly. Okay? We cross multiply 26x equals 20 times 39, which is 780. Divide both sides by 26. And x equals 30. I don't have any units, so I can just leave it as x equals 30. Number 27. Now, what's nice about 27 is, yes, I have this 22 right here, but I don't really need it to find x, so we don't really need to worry about that one. The numbers that I have here and here and here and here, none of them are on the parallel sides, which means those are proportional parts. So you just pick one, whichever one you want. I'm going to go with the 30 and look and see what's across from it and compare those two, 30 to 32. Okay, then I stay on the same side that the 30 was, and I choose the 10, and I put it over the x. And again, you could have started with something other than 30, which means your proportion would look different, but just check your diagonals, make sure that your 30 is across from the x, and your 32 is across from the 10. So that when you cross multiply, you get 30x equals 320. Divide both sides by 30, and x equals 320 divided by 30 comes out to 10.6, repeating, which we'll just round to 10. That's a 10.67. Okay, 10.67, and we don't have units, so we'll just leave it here at 10.67. Number 28, triangle ABC is similar to triangle JKL with altitudes, BX and KY. Find BX. So this right here is the side that I am trying to find. We'll put a little X on it so we know that's what we want. Okay, since our triangles are similar, that means all their parts are proportional. Okay, so I'm going to compare AB with JK. So 32 to 10. And then I can compare one altitude with the other altitude. And if I did 32 on top in this triangle, that means the x has to go on top over the 6. Now, again, your proportion might be set up differently. Just check your cross multiplication to make sure you cross multiply the same. X times 10 is 10x. 32 times 6 is 192. So then when I divide both sides by 10, I get that x equals 19.2. X equals 19.2. All right, we're almost done. 3 more. Number 29. The triangles below are similar by the angle-angle similarity postulate. Find x. So again, we're similar just like before. So I can compare this altitude x to this altitude 7. Okay, and if I used x on top, that means this is going to be on the bottom, so we're going to do the same thing. We want to pick numbers in the same position, even though they're the same numbers. So I'm going to go with the bottom here, 10, and the bottom here, 8. So when I cross multiply, these should be equal. Again, you might have set your proportions up differently from mine. Just make sure that when you cross multiply, you're going to get the same thing. So I'll end up with 8 times x equals 7 times 10. I'll divide both sides by 8. So that x equals 70 divided by 8, which is 8.75. And we don't have any units in our picture, so that is where we are done. 8.75. Okay. Number 3. Points D, O, and G are midpoints. What is the perimeter of triangle CAT? All right, so if this is a midpoint here and here, that means DO is a median, which is half the opposite side. If O is a midpoint and G is a midpoint, then the 10 is a median, which is half of the opposite side. Oops, that's a 20. And then 8 is also a median, which is half of the opposite side. Okay, so when I want to find the perimeter all the way around triangle CAT, and it says triangle, so you close it back up, you just add all of your sides together. So I'm going to add the 20 plus the 16 plus the 12, which makes the perimeter of triangle CAT equal to 60. And again, I don't have any units, so I will just leave it there. All right, the last one, number 31. Points D, O, and G are midpoints. A to D is 10, A to O is 8, and G to T is 12. What is the perimeter of triangle DOG? So the perimeter I'm trying to find, DOG, I'm trying to find that small purple triangle, okay? Now, if A to O is 8, that means this whole side is 16, which means the side across from it is half of that 8. If A to D is 10, that means this is also 10. So this whole side is 20, which means the median across from it is half of that 10. And last but not least, if T to G is 12, so is G to C, which means this side is 24, and the median across from it is half of that 12. So again, I'm trying to find the perimeter of triangle DOG. All I need to do is add those sides together. So I'm going to add the 12 plus the 10 plus the 8, which is going to give me a perimeter for triangle DOG of 12 plus 10 plus 8, which is a perimeter of 30 units long. Okay. All right, and that concludes your review. Remember, first period, your exam is going to be on Tuesday. We are out of school on Monday. Yay, holiday. Happy Martin Luther King Day. And it'll be the very first exam, the very first exam. So I will be here Tuesday morning if you have any questions and you want to come in and ask them about the review before we go. Okay, and then sixth period, your exam won't be until Friday. So I'll see you every day. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. You will be on Friday and it'll be a half day. So after you take your 6th and then 7th period exam, you'll get to go to lunch and then go home. Okay? So first period on Tuesday. I'll be here early on Tuesday if you have any questions. And then 6th period, you won't be until Friday, but I will see you Tuesday and Wednesday and, oh, I won't see you Thursday. So I'll see you Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you have any questions, you can ask those days, okay? I hope you've enjoyed your review. Thanks for following along.